If you live as a young lady in our country, you will agree with me that there's so many obstacles you face, especially when you want to start to live on your own. Starting with the obstacles of finding an apartment and to the obstacles of even getting a property. Yes, these things are actually real. So one day I had to ask myself, Stephanie, are young ladies actually under a curse? Joining me today is an amazing guest who will be taking the topic, are unmarried ladies under a curse? So sit back, relax, because after this break, we'll be meeting her. I am Stephanie Eze Onye, your host, and you are watching Catholic Faith Forum. Welcome back, guys. This is Catholic Faith Forum. So today we're talking on the topic, are unmarried ladies actually under a curse? Joining me to talk on this topic is an amazing guest, and she's a legal practitioner, and she's also very successful, I have to say. So join us, let's meet Miss Olayinka Ajose. You're very welcome.
Thank you, Stephanie.
It's good to have you, and you're looking stunning.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for inviting me.
All right, you're welcome. So Miss Olayinka is a legal practitioner living and working in Lagos. She loves animals, she loves reading, and she loves traveling. You're very welcome.
Thank you.
So let's go a little. You say you love reading and you love traveling. Where have you traveled to? Because me too, I like traveling.
Yeah.
So, single ladies, where are we traveling to?
Oh, yes. Under that topic, the most interesting place for a single lady would be Thailand.
Oh, Thailand first. Thailand first. So
Thailand.
Girls, be writing. Thailand first, we're going to Thailand.
Yes, and I have to say it's not as traumatic as they paint it out to be. It was a very, so I went with a group of my friends, all single at the time, and we went and we heard so many stories. Oh, be careful of people, Don't talk to strangers, don't leave your luggage unattended. But, from the minute we landed to the minute we left, really safe.
So really, okay. Thailand, number one. Number two?
South Africa.
South Africa.
I've been to South Africa. I've been to
country.
3 different, do they call them states?
Oh, they call them cities.
Cities.
Or towns.
I've been to 3 different cities in South Africa.
Yeah.
Been to the UK, of course, like everybody else.
Everybody has been there. Feels as if that country's casted.
I most recently went to Ghana. So Ghana was the most
how's
country I
Ghana?
traveled to. It was really nice. People are very friendly.
I mean, you've traveled a lot.
Yeah, I try.
You've tried, honestly. All right, so let's get right into it. So,
yes.
Will you say single ladies are under a curse? So that curse, single ladies, is it true or is it not true?
I don't think it's true.
I don't think it's not true.
I don't think any person is under a curse except you do something to place yourself under a curse.
So we're not under a curse,
no,
nothing like that.
It's
beautiful.
It's just difficult, but no.
Beautiful. Should single ladies be financially independent? Should we be independent?
Yes. I think single ladies should be financially independent. I think every woman should be financially independent, whether you're single or you're married. I think every person should be financially independent. There is a certain freedom that comes with you making your own financial decisions, whether it's a good one or a bad one, just being able to control yourself, not relying on someone else for money, for the bare necessities. So definitely everybody, especially single ladies.
All right, so now let's come back to Nigeria. We're in a country where if you're a single lady and you're making some money, it's an issue. So you agree with me, right? So we're talking about Nigeria, where this issue is, as a single lady, there are so many obstacles. Yeah. As I said earlier, to getting your own apartment, to owning property. So where did this ideology of single ladies not being able to get some certain level of financial, independence, where did this whole thing start from?
I think it's very grounded in our culture, in our society, in, history. From time immemorial, they'll tell you men were hunter-gatherers and women were homemakers. So it was expected that the man would go out and bring what he has hunted and gathered for the day and give it to the woman, and she has to make do with that, And it worked. Truthfully, it did work in that time, in that era. But as we've all evolved, society has evolved, the country has evolved, the people have evolved, it's no longer viable. A lot of people cannot survive, a lot of homes cannot survive on a single person income. So, women now have to work. And in pursuing work, of course, you're going to want to be fulfilled. So you're going to want to, I'm not going to work all month and then earn my money and then not spend it. I will spend it and I will spend it well.
Spend it well.
Yes, definitely. I mean, you worked hard for it. So, so I think we just have that background, when women were just taken care
Of
of.
the home.
And for a lot of people, it's very difficult to separate women from that role now, such that, you know, when they're being forward in other things, maybe pushing their career or whatever, it's like, oh no, focus on your family first, you know, that kind of thing. But yeah.
So now to ask a question. So now you're financially independent lady. You have a family to look after, and you have a husband too to look after. Now look at your response. Okay, the man's responsibility is to go out, bring the money, come home. Now yours too, you're also financially independent, and you're going out, you're bringing money, you're taking care of the home, you're taking care of children, you're taking care of your husband. All the whole things are on you, and no one is helping. So what advice would you give to ladies? Please, I feel as if the pressure is much, because I've seen these situations happen. So what do we do?
I agree with you. Those situations do happen. However, that's not all that happens. My first advice is, if you want to get married, please make sure you marry a friend.
Okay, she has said it. Marry your
Marry
friend.
the right person.
Marry someone that understands you,
know.
someone that knows you.
Yeah.
Like,
To me, that's it. Because if you don't get that right, then everything else you're going to be doing is catch up. You know, you have to start recruiting. So if you don't, I mean, there are a lot of people who unfortunately haven't gotten that right, or maybe they marry someone who is absent. You know, people marry husbands who are in the army or who are in jobs that take them out of town, you know, and then you're left with all that child rearing and home caring to do by yourself, you know. Of course, then you need people to help you out. If you have family members who can help you out, if you have to engage people in a professional capacity to help you out. But, you know, like, ask for help. You cannot do it all alone. And it's when you try to start doing it all alone that you start to get overwhelmed and start to think that you're under a curse.
mind you too, some men don't like maids if you plan on getting one.
Like I said, marry your friend.
This issue is not a thing of today. Like, it's really much. It's really much.
It is.
All right, guys. So let's find out who the saint of this week is. Stay tuned.
Our saint of the week is Saint Monica. Monica was an early North African Christian saint and the mother of Saint Augustine of Hippo. She was born in Thagaste, present-day Souk Haras, Algeria. She was married early in life to Patricius, a pagan soldier. Patricius reportedly had a violent temper, and Monica's almsgiving, deeds, and prayer habits annoyed him, but it is said that he always held her in respect. Monica had 3 children who survived infancy, 2 sons, Augustine and Navigus, and a daughter, Perpetua of Hippo. As a mother, Monica's anxiety centered on Augustine. He was wayward and, as he himself tells us, lazy. He was finally sent to school at Madora. Augustine had become a Manichaean at Carthage. When, upon his return home, he shared his views regarding Manichaeism, which is an extinct religion that argues that the foundation of the universe is the opposition of 2 principles, good and evil, each equal in relative power, Monica drove him away from her table. However, she's said to have experienced a vision that convinced her to reconcile with him. At this time, she visited a certain unnamed bishop who consoled her with the words, "The child of those tears shall never perish." Monica followed Augustine to Milan. Here she found Ambrose, and through him, she ultimately saw Augustine convert to Christianity after 17 years of resistance. Monica and her son spent 6 peaceful months at Ros Cassiciacum, present-day Cassago Brianza, after which Augustine was baptized by Ambrose in the Church of St. John the Baptist at Milan. Monica and Augustine left for Africa, and on their way at Ostia, Monica died, and Augustine's grief inspired his Confessions. In his book Confessions, Augustine wrote of a peculiar practice of his mother, in which she brought to certain oratories erected in the memory of the saints offerings of porridge, bread, water, and wine. In 1430, Pope Martin V ordered that the relics be brought to Rome. Many miracles are said to have occurred on the way, and the cultus of St. Monica was definitely established. St. Monica is known for her persistent prayers, and she is the patron saint of mothers. The feast of St. Monica is celebrated on the 27th of August, the day before that of her son, St. Augustine. And so we say, St. Monica, pray for us.
Welcome back, guys. You're still watching Catholic Faith Forum. So before we went on the break, we were talking about obstacles single ladies face in Nigeria. So, Ms. Olayinka, I'd like to ask again, what other obstacles do single ladies face aside financial obstacles?
I think exploitation.
Exploitation.
I do think that a lot of women, single women especially, get exploited, particularly when they are venturing into roles that are considered more traditional. Like if, for example, I have a car and you have to take it for repairs. I do not know anything about, the only thing I know about the car is fuel goes in here, engineer, that engineer itself, I learned that one recently. Start the car and go. Do you get it? So when there's a problem with the car, I have to take it to the mechanic. Half the time I have no idea. I remember I took one and they said the catalyst was bad. And I'm like, what is the catalyst? Thank you. And I asked one of my male friends, I was like, oh, be very careful. Those things are very expensive, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. And that happens quite a lot. Recently, a friend of mine was telling me how her car, when she had an issue with a radiator and the mechanic, the one he decided he was going to replace it, cost almost 100,000. And she was like, why? Why is it so expensive? And after she drilled down, she realized that the guy was just trying to sell her a bigger model just because it cost more, not necessarily because that would fix the situation. There would be a baseline model which was in the car prior that she could use. But if she didn't insist, she would have paid double the amount for it. So a lot of times, when it's those things that women wouldn't have any clear idea about, we do get taken for a ride. Honestly. So I do think that's one of the other non-financial repercussions that we suffer. And there's also an issue of, I think I would call it maybe respect or lack of it thereof.
Lack of respect.
When you're dealing with some certain people, the way in manner, it can be the same situation. It's just a man and then a woman, and the man gets, or even a married woman, in fact, the married woman gets treated a lot better, and then there's a single woman. There's just always, for some reason, there's just a stereotype. Another colleague of mine, I think she got into an accident. Somebody hit her. And you clear off the road and you start talking, and the guy told her, madam, go and call your husband. I'm not going to talk to you.
I've heard of that too. I can't talk to you. I don't talk to single lady. Go and call your husband. And it's like, so,
I honestly don't know. It's, for me, I feel like a lot of these things that we have to deal with are just symptoms of how each of us were raised individually, for a person to say that kind of statement, I feel like he has no regard for women, whether married or not. Do you get? So, for me, those kind of people like that, I don't even waste my breath or my energy getting upset over there. No, I'm just like, enter your car and go. You have comprehensive insurance.
Honestly, that's really interesting. So now we've already mentioned the obstacles. So is there any way we can overcome these obstacles as a single lady? Financial obstacles, obstacles of respect, obstacles of even marriage. I wanted to even mention, if you're not married at a certain age as a single lady, you're in trouble. Yeah. So is there any way that we can overcome all these obstacles?
I don't know if we can overcome it, because I feel like overcoming means that you will rise above and then it stops.
Okay, how do we solve it? Or how do we reduce it? Or how do we manage it?
For me, I would say manage.
Okay, it can only be managed.
I would say manage, and I think that's just a mindset thing. I think that's honestly a mindset thing. I think, first of all, you have to be happy with yourself, in whatever aspect of your life you're in now, whatever season. You're single or you're married, you need to be happy with your decision, you need to be confident. Of course, I know there are people who want to be married but are not, for whatever reason, so those kind of people would react more adversely or negatively if they were approached with that kind of situation, like, oh, go and call your husband, I don't want to talk to you. You would not be like, oh my God, yeah, you're shaming. Those kind of people would take it a lot harder than people like myself, for instance, who are single by choice, and I would just tell him where to get off, That's but whatever the situation you find yourself in, I think you just need to try and own it,
You mean overlook it?
Not overlook it. Accept it. Be at peace with it. Pray for more if you want more, yes. But whilst you're there, enjoy it. Do you know how many of my friends that once they get married, it's like, oh my God, I wish we were still single. And it's the truth. Human beings, I don't know, we just always have this thing, we're never satisfied. You want something and then you get it, and the next thing you want something else. we started by talking about my travel. I am able to get up and go if I want to today. My married friends, not so much. You know, they have to plan, who's going to take care of the children, you know, all of that things. So the advantages and disadvantages to everything. You know, try and look at the more positive outlook. Like, what is good? Why am I here? And, you know, in that time, better yourself. Improve yourself for yourself and your future partner, you know. And for me, it's just mindset. Just not, don't, I mean, every once in a while, it's good to have a good cry, you know, but don't let that define you. Don't let it be, oh, I'm single, I'm not married, my life is over, woe is me. No. Because, to be honest, I feel like people who are like that, there's like a deeper issue that they are not addressing, and they often think that marriage will solve it, and then it doesn't. And that's what leads to desperation. Then you're not going to marry the wrong person who will now tell you to go to work and come back and pound you and cook fresh soup.
Seriously. Thank you so much for that. So now, when I introduced the show, I was talking about issues of getting an apartment and owning properties. This has to be resolved. Like, how do we cope with that? Because it's a thing. I was talking to my friend earlier because I went to vote during this last election. I went to vote. So some youths in front of me, you know, were standing in a queue. So everyone was trying to just, you know how queues are, it was very long. So people were just discussing among themselves. So I heard a young youth, she was just complaining that she wanted to get an apartment to live in. But all the landlords were just rejecting her because she was single. So she had to go and, I don't know if to say, rent a man. So she said that she actually called her friend to stand in as her fiancé/husband. And she had to also rent a child to, you know, look as if she has a child too.
That one
she
is a
told
bit
the landlord
much for
that
me.
the man is working in another
State,
state,
so
he won't be around.
So what did she not tell him
her,
about the child when he will not now see her with that child?
I don't even know. So that's what she had to do to get this apartment.
So I've heard stories like that.
So what do we do? Because it's really a problem.
I've heard stories like that quite, you know, it's not new. You know, women have been doing it from time immemorial. It's just the renting of the child I've not heard of before. And that one might be a bit difficult to manage. But that's one option, if that's what you want to do. So I mean, no, personally, I wouldn't. I'm not going to lie to anybody because I have to stay under your house and spend my money. It's not free of charge. I'm paying for it. I'm not going to lie. It's unfortunate, but it's their house. They can decide who they want to give it to. It's unfortunate, you know, but, you know, that's them. I would rather just look in another direction or look for something else, or I don't know.
It's not that easy.
Well, for some, I do realize that I'm speaking from my own experience and my own perspective. So for me, I'm looking for a place to stay now, and I've never had that issue. Nobody has told me that because I'm single, they're not going to give me my house. They want. I would suggest maybe she go through an agent. You know, those ones just collect their money. They don't really care about all those ones, you know. So, but personally, I wouldn't lie. I would just widen my search to where I'll be acceptable. Because how long are you going to keep lying, you know? And one day it's going to come out, and I'm not going to lie. I mean, if I'm going to sin, let it be for something worthwhile.
Honestly,
you know.
That's a word. All right, guys, so we've heard from Ms. Olayinka. So let's meet the Know Your Faith crew for our Know Your Faith session. Stay tuned.
Hi fans, welcome to an exciting episode of Know Your Faith. I am Jeffrey, your host. Today's topic is going to shake some tables, and I'll be there no matter what. I've told you, Sha. Alright, today we want to know if a person can marry their godchild or godparent. Wait first, before we get into the main gist, let's do a bit of catechism, you know. What is marriage? Marriage in the Catholic Church, also known as holy matrimony, is the covenant by which a man and woman establish between themselves a partnership of the whole of life, and which is ordered by its nature to the good of the spouses and the procreation and education of offspring, and which has been raised by Christ the Lord to the dignity of a sacrament between the baptized. Now, since there is no civil relationship between the godchild and the godparent, they can get married legally. That's court marriage. But when it comes to the church, a lot of questions are asked. Who initiated the sexual relationship? Was the godparent sexually attracted to the child while they were still a minor? These are the kinds of questions that a good priest will ask during the premarital process. These questions are asked for various reasons. Firstly, in most cases, there's a huge gap in maturity due to the age gap. Secondly, a godparent who did his or her job well would have acted like a parent to the child in many aspects. Now, how do you intend to transfer the structure of a godparent-godchild relationship into a marriage? You cannot do it. It's not possible. So, to answer the question, can a person marry their godparent or godchild? In the eyes of the state, sure, you can. And if they can glide through the questions above and other likely questions, they can probably get the church's stamp of approval too. But should a person marry their godparent or godchild? In most cases, certainly not. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you for watching this video. Please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the notification bell, like the video, share it with your friends and families. Until next time, be bold and be Catholic.
Welcome back, guys. You're still watching Catholic Faith Forum. Thank you so much, KYF crew, for that amazing topic. So, Mr. Olayinka, before we went on the break, we're talking about obstacles. So I mentioned the one of renting apartments and the rest. So now, as a single lady, even if it's by choice, what is the most difficult thing you've actually had to go through?
The most difficult thing?
Yes, or the most difficult situation or circumstance you've had to go through.
Okay, so last year, and this is a bit personal, but last year I had a surgery, a major surgery, and I think the fact that I had to do it almost alone. Yeah, I mean, my mom was there, but so my mom traveled, and because if I had to wait for her to come back first and foremost, because there was no way I was going to do it if I didn't have some kind of help, you know. And yeah, I think in that moment, you're just like, oh, it would have been nice to have had a husband.
Like, hello, baby, how are you doing? Don't worry, don't
you know,
cry.
that kind of situation.
Fine,
So I think for me, that would be the most difficult part about being single. I have to make a lot of decisions and
On your own. And face situations, hard times on your own. Be a tough lady.
Also, when there's a jar in the house I cannot open, it's very difficult.
When there's a jar?
Yes, like I have to open a jar. I have zero upper body strength. So
That's true.
it
That's
doesn't
true.
work.
Okay. Physical strength too, an obstacle. Wow, that's
Also, zipping your dresses.
oh, zipping your dresses too. Don't want to help you.
I've had to go to work with a half-zip dress before. And then you guys say, please help me.
That is so true. That's so true.
But yeah, those are the kind of
The
things that,
situation.
it's just the lack of, you know, like,
Lack of a
you're
partner.
bearing everything alone, you know, financially.
But funny enough, you can actually tell a
independence,
friend, a
things.
female friend, I'm going to, okay, but isn't that a guy?
I mean, I love women, but no. It's just different. When you have a companion, it's just different.
It's different, right? I understand. So what final advice do you have for single ladies out there?
Own your singleness. Own it. It's not a curse. It's not something to be ashamed of. You know, women, people are single for all sorts of reasons. You know, and I think this pressure of not being a single woman is what puts a lot of people in harm's way. You know, and you get into relationships you really had no business being in, and now you can't get yourself out of it. So don't be pressured. I know it's hard. You know, I have the luxury of talking like this because I have, you know, parents or a mom who doesn't pressure me. So it's fine, but I do know that a lot of people are under a lot of stress from their immediate family members. That just makes it even more difficult. So, I mean, I get where they are coming from most of the time. Their delivery is a bit off, but they do want the best for their children. But it's nothing bad. It's nothing to be ashamed of. If you decide that it's something for you, then, you know, own it. If you decide you want to marry, you want to have a family, then please do it. Just do it because you want it. That's what will make you happy. That's what fulfills you. It's not about anybody, because even those people that are forcing you to marry, you know how that wedding day, that's where it ends. Everybody will go back to their house, and then you'll now be left to. My mother says this thing: marry in haste, repent at leisure.
Marry in haste, repent at leisure.
You will now be there by yourself, and you know all those people who came to celebrate with you, they are now they're gone, they're telling you, yeah, my dear, that's how marriage is. Personally, I have a belief that a lot of these people who are married, who are forcing other people to get married, it's just like misery loves company, so they want you to come out. So
Oh,
that's how I look at it to cheer myself up, sharp. But yes, do what makes you happy. That's it. Do what fulfills you. Do what aligns with your spirit. Do what your God tells you to do. You know, but then do it for you, not for anybody else.
Not for anybody. Amazing, amazing, amazing. So guys, you've heard it. You've heard it all. Single ladies are not under a curse. Utilize your singlehood very well. Do things, explore, own it. It's not easy to be a single lady, and it's something you should enjoy. So that's it, guys. We've come to the end of this amazing show. Amazing show, amazing show. Thank you so much, Ms. Olayinka, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so that's it, guys. If you enjoyed this show, feel free to like, subscribe, and share this video to your friends, especially your single ladies. Let them know. Let no one put them under pressure. So that's it, guys. We've come to the end of this topic. If you have any comments, contrary opinions, or even questions, feel free to drop them in the comments section. Subscribe if you've not yet subscribed at Dominican Media. And do not forget to follow us on our social media platforms at CFF on TV. And until next time, guys, keep being saints in jeans and shirts. Bye. Say bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.